Working on the glass button next, and here's one that's finished. And this one's a little trickier than you might think. It's got some things with the reflections on the surface that make it a little bit tricky. Okay, I'm going to just dismiss this and start again. Ellipse tool, of course, and we'll just start by drawing a big circle in the middle with the shift and the option down, and center that up. Okay, as I look at my go by up here, it looks like it's dark gray with a red stroke, so I'll make it a kind of a dark gray and add a little thin stroke to the outside edge. Okay, and it looks like it needs to be a little brighter red than that. Okay, all right, so there's the first shape, and you can see it there. Gray with a red stroke. The next one looks like it's a gradient to me, so I'm going to start with a gradient here. No stroke, and for my gradient I'll just use a black and white. Now I'm going to come down here, and with my smart guides turned on, I might be able to find the center of this thing. There it is, and option and shift, and I'll just try to make it as big as it needs to be, kind of doing it right in place with the option key helping me out here. Okay, as I look at that, the gradient should be dark, medium, white, and actually that one doesn't look too bad. I might give it just a little bit of a turn by taking this actually this way and having the dark kind of on this edge. Okay, remember you can change that annotator and make it do whatever you like. See how it's dark there and light over there with all the different grays in between. Actually, I'm looking at the wrong one. This one's a little more complicated than that, I do believe. Okay, so let me just add to that gradient. So it's got looks like gray, light gray, medium gray, white, medium gray, light gray. Okay, so instead of just straight black and white, I'm going to have it go from top to bottom, and I'll build it off of this. Okay, by using my drop down here, I can put the light gray in where the black was. Okay, let me just scoot these a little closer together, and we can watch this as it happens. Okay, and then the next one is a medium gray. So I'll just click there and drag it into here. Okay, and then I'll make a light color. Looks like a really light gray. Now to get this to update, if you click on one of the swatches, it'll update. Okay, so now you can see how I'm kind of building this up. Looks like it goes then to, there's a white stripe kind of through the middle of it there, and then a dark gray. And again, if you click, you'll get the update there. And then there's a lighter gray at the end. I'll probably just replace that white on the end with a gray like this. And you can see it update. Okay, and I'm attempting to do this up here at the top with a light, and then a medium, and then a white, and then a medium, and then a light, and then a medium. Okay, now remember you can change this to move it to make it look even more like what you want. And so I'll just move this up. I've got to tighten up the white there a little bit. Okay, you can also use these adjustments here to make it change. That actually looks pretty good right there. Okay, so I'm going to call it close and go on to the next one. The next one looks like it has maybe a similar gradient with a little darker edge on it. So maybe I'll include some black here, but it also has a gray stroke around it. So I'll go back to my ellipse tool, look for the center. Remember, your smart guides will help you find that center. Just click and drag, Option Shift, and you can get it to come out like this. Okay, let's just take a look at this. This one does have a light gray stroke on it, or a kind of a dark gray stroke. So I'll add a dark gray stroke on it, just a real fine 1-point stroke there. It also has a bit of a darker shade in it, so I'm going to put some black in here on this one, and that looks maybe okay. I think maybe it has a little bit more white in it, so I'll move this over, this one down. There we go. And then I'm going to change the direction of it just a little bit. It looks like it goes from side to side to me. So I'll use my gradient tool. Remember, you can use the one that already exists if you want to, or you can just drag a new one each time. So now we've got the dark on the side there, and looks like it still needs a little more of the white, so I'm just going to move this down here like that. Okay, close enough. Okay, that looks pretty good with the dark stroke on it. Okay, next it's got a red. Let's see, we've got the one, the second one. Okay, that looks about right. Okay, looks like the next one needs to just be the red. Okay, so back to the ellipse, find the center, Option Shift, drag it out, try to match the size that you see up there. Looks like it maybe needs to be just a little bit bigger. I'll use my selection tool again with the Shift and Option and make that just a little bit bigger. We want this one, though, instead to have no stroke and a red fill. Truly, we need to have a red. Instead of just red, we also want it to have this gradient down here at the bottom. So I'm just going to go back to my gradient here. Not that one. Let's use the simpler one with the white, black and white. Then I'll just drag the red in place of the black there. Okay, so now you can see there's white in it, there's red in it. It needs to be a radial gradient instead of a linear gradient, and instead of the white being in the center, we can use the annotator here to put the white near the bottom. Looks like it's just a little to the right. Now remember, you can rotate this annotator if you want, and then adjust it along this line and get it where it kind of fades out to nothing. Okay, so I've got my gradient in there now, kind of sunburst at the bottom. Okay, now on top of that is another gradient. This one is a fade to white gradient, and it's not really a circle this time. It's more of an ellipse. So again, I'll just to keep it centered, I'll start in the middle and I'll add the Option key, but instead of using the Shift, I'm just going to use I'm going to make it sort of flattened like this, slightly flattened, and I'm going to drag it up, or I'm just going to tap it up until it's sitting in there. I want to get the shape right first, and then I'll adjust the gradient. Okay, need to be a little wider. If you hold the, let's see, I missed that again. Okay, I want to drag it and then hold the Option key and then tap it down. That looks about right, but instead of a white to red gradient, I want this to have a white to white gradient. And I know when I update that it's pure white, but I want to make one end of it, instead of 100% opacity, make it 0. And you can see it kind of going on here now. It's going to make this, it's going to let the red show through on this end. If I go to my annotator, I can hopefully make this a little wider this way, letting a little bit more of the red show through. I can also move this little handle so a little bit more of the red shows through. You can even change the kind of the ellipse of the circle here and make it a little wider. Again, you can move the whole annotator if you want. And you can back this little button here back if you want. It kind of puts the center of it off center. Okay. I usually have to do this like several times until I get it just right. I don't want quite so much cut in here. And so I'm going to once again try to go back to the annotator and see if I can figure out a way to make a little bit less of this white right here. There we go. That's looking better. Okay. And you just have to deselect. If you still see more cut than you want, you can keep working on that until you get it just the way you want it. Okay. That's kind of strong here at the top. Instead of making it 100%, maybe I could take the pure white and make it, say, maybe 80. It just looked a little strong here at the top. And that's beginning to look a little better. Okay. All right. Now, I also want then to put a shadow as if the button is setting up on its end. I'm just going to use a regular old ellipse here. Let's deselect and go to just plain old black for a fill with a rectangle. I'm sorry, a ellipse. I'm just going to draw it in like this. Option. Make it about the same width as the button. Now I should have used my draw behind, so let me just send that to the back. We'll switch that draw behind on so we don't do that again. And then make this have a feather on it. Stylize, effect, stylize, feather. And when you turn on your, you'll see it has a soft edge to it. Maybe something like that. And I think you're going to want this to be transparent, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the transparency down to about 50. And maybe change that. Well, let's just see how that works. I've still got the draw behind turned on. I'll go to my rectangle tool. I'm just drawing a rectangle in here behind it. Now, we don't want it to be black. We need for it to have some kind of a blue gradient. There is a fading sky gradient that's in mine. This may not be the same for you, but it make a good starter gradient. And again, that shadow I was worried about, it might not be quite heavy enough, but we'll fix that. Let's have this go from top to bottom. What I do there, I drew a rectangle. Didn't mean to do that. I meant to use the gradient tool here and have the gradient run from top to bottom. We can add two. Remember how you can add to those gradients? You can do anything you want to do with them. One thing that I've been practicing with is pull the gradient panel free and use the color guide. Now, if you'll pick colors that you get from this drop down, I just use the high contrast there, and I can fix this up pretty well. I'll first I'm going to change this so it's not transparent, and then I'm going to drop new colors in here. I'll drop that in there, and I'll drop maybe this in here, a little darker, and then I'll drop that same one over here. Oh, and they inherit that transparency, so you have to keep flushing that back up to 100. Okay, and then a light color one in the middle. And maybe that needs to be 100% as well. Okay, it's starting to look pretty close to the gradient that we have up here, I'm just going to add a feather. Let's see if apply feather works for this. That looks pretty good. If you don't like it, you can undo and go to your regular stylized feather, and that way you get to kind of make a choice that you can adjust. And that looks pretty good. Yeah, that shadow did not come out as I had hoped, so I'm going to strengthen that up a little bit. I think I just turned the transparency down too low on that. Let's see if that's going to show. Should be black. Let's see here. Maybe, let's see what it looks like at 100. Sure not getting much of a shadow in there. Okay, now I may have over feathered that. Remember, if you want to adjust an effect, go to Appearance, and there's the feather. If you click on the word feather, you can maybe make that so it's not so much feather. And that's looking a little better. Okay, so just enough of a shadow there that it's coming through. It really should be slightly transparent to let a little of that blue show through. Okay, so there's the glass button, and I'm still not real crazy about how that turned out. It seems to be a little better at 100%, so maybe I'll just leave it there. Okay.